What's up, everybody? We are here at Vegan Campout. We're gonna ask some people some vegan questions. So, how long have you been vegan for?
10 years.
I've been vegan for 10 years.
For me, about 7 years.
3.5.
Me, 11 years.
20 years.
Nearly 4 years, 4.5 years, something like that.
I've been vegan 4.5 years.
6 years.
This year will be my 7th.
What inspired you to go vegan?
It was a video I was making for a punk band, and I asked them what the song was about, and then they said it was about factory farming, so I looked it up. First thing that came up was the dairy industry, and I was just like confused by their hypocrisy. I thought, okay, well, they should be vegetarian, and then I realized, okay, that's dairy, so they've got to be vegan, and I've got to be vegan because this is happening, and that's what caused me to be vegan, I think.
For me, it was Googling what the word vegan was, and I came across The Land of Hope and Glory by Earthling Edge. Watched the whole thing, cried the whole way through, and just from then on, it was an overnight thing for me.
When we got together, she was vegan, I wasn't. And then a couple of months in, I decided to ask her a bit more about what a vegan is. I didn't really understand what a vegan was. Thought these some crazy hippies that are just weirdos. But eventually, I decided to watch a documentary called Earthlings, and then The Land of Hope and Glory. And then after that, you can't unsee what you've seen. And from that day forward, made the change to never consume or wear animal products again. So,
What inspired you to go vegan?
Gary Yourofsky's speech. Saw it in late 2012, and then made the switch January 2013.
I watched Gary Yourofsky.
Gary Yourofsky's the most important
Speech you'd ever hear, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Okay, well,
Yeah.
so many people have gone vegan from
Yeah,
that. That's nice.
yeah.
Okay.
Meet Your Meat, a documentary from PETA from way back in the day, and I was originally just going to go vegetarian, but my brother is who made me watch it, and he was like, that's not enough, we need to go completely vegan.
It was around lockdown, so I was a bit bored in the house, feeling a bit unfit, wanted to change my health, and I watched How Not to Die by Michael Greger. So watched that and literally just overnight changed everything.
So I watched a documentary called The Game Changers back in December 2019. And I had just moved to a new country, and so I took New Year's resolutions really seriously. And so like January was coming up, and I was like, oh, it's time to eat more veggies. And the front of, or the, what is it called? On Netflix, when you're scrolling past it, on the like the image of the documentary is a guy like this with all the veggies. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna eat some more veggies. Turns out it was a huge vegan sell. And so I watched and I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to try that for the New Year's. So I tried it for the New Year's. I went vegan for a couple of weeks. Or I went plant-based for a couple of weeks. And then I started watching videos about the environment. And then I finally, 6 months later, watched a video about the ethics. I watched an Earthling Ed video. Shout out. And then I got hooked and I became vegan. So yeah,
That's this history.
So I read the book by Peter Singer first, The Ethics of What We Eat. And then I started watching more documentaries and read more books. And then that just turned me into vegan naturally.
I just couldn't understand the hypocrisy of people against eating meat. I was a meat eater, I was a really heavy meat eater, but the people who support me, their arguments were just unbearable, and I just didn't want to be part of that.
Has going vegan positively impacted your life? And how?
Yes and no, it's bittersweet. So my social life and stuff is really much richer and stuff than it ever was. So I've always got stuff going on in the calendar, and I just feel so much more of a part of something that my life has a real kind of meaning for positive change. And in the negative way, you're more aware now of what happens to animals. So it kind of, it screws up your perception of humanity in the world, and you really realise the extent of the abuse and suffering that's going on.
Oh, I get that. How about you?
It's positively impacted my life, as in I have more of an appreciation for all sentient beings, like the smallest little insect to like the biggest, creepiest creatures. I love all animals, and it's just accentuated that even more.
I just think it's made me get more into philosophy and understand the good and bad, help me become a better person.
My sleep's got so much better, just general health and well-being. I've always got more energy. I used to get up at 9, 10 o'clock. Now I'm not up any later than 6. Just general every day, feel much better in my health and just well-being.
Man, in a lot of different ways. I don't even know where to begin. I think, where do I start? All right, let's start selfishly. In one way, I eat a whole food plant-based diet, so I feel really good knowing that I am doing the best I can possibly do to nurture my body and to make sure that I don't die early from these different diseases. Of course, I might still die from like a random reason, or I might still get sick, but I know that I'm doing in my control the best that I can do, so I feel really good about that. Also, keeping it to like the whole food plant-based diet side of things, I also feel like it's helped a lot my relationship with food, just understanding what I'm putting in my body, understanding where I get different nutrients from, eating more fiber. So that's all been like a really positive change in my life. Also feeling like I know I'm doing something so good for the environment, know that I'm doing one of the best things I can possibly do for the environment, for the planet, because who doesn't care about what's going on?
Yeah.
And it feels good, when you find new information, you change that. And finally, obviously, the biggest reason too is just to be free of doing this thing that was just so wrong and harmful, and honestly f***ed up. On the flip side, sometimes it's jarring to see other people continue to engage in that after you've been out of it for so long. But I'm really thankful that I'm no longer a part of that, and hopefully we can, hopefully I can set an example to people that you can live a life that's healthier, more sustainable, and honestly, just the right thing to do.
I think my health is better, and obviously I'm living my value.
Nice.
So every day I feel good about doing something better for the environment and also for the animals, of course, most important thing.
First would be the health. In particular for me, recovery speed after like workouts or exercise is just incredibly fast. I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, I play football or soccer. Usually I would like lay in bed for like 2 or 3 days after not playing for a while and then just running intensely. Now it's like 1.5 day max. That's amazing.
I'm a very active activist.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have lots of friends. I'm part of Speciesism,
Nice, I love it.
WTF,
Yeah.
where we create awareness through the art world.
Nice.
Rather than directly confronting people and calling them animal abusers,
I like that, okay.
we do it through the art world. So we create artwork, we perform it we perform it in galleries, we take it outside galleries and perform it on the streets and have humans performing it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So we started with the Milked Woman, which was an iconic picture. We're doing a talk about it on Sunday night, actually. So we created the Milked Woman as an art piece and then took it on the street. So women dress up with they're milked on the streets, basically.
Oh, that's brilliant. I think I've seen photos on Instagram of it.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
and it creates a conversation. So people are shocked. The art world likes to be shocked, so it works through the art world.
Yeah.
And we don't actually talk about cows. We don't talk about the dairy industry. We let them work it out for themselves. So they watch our performance. We have a farmer's speech, which basically says, "These are my women from my factory in Surrey. I love my women. I look after them as members of our family. We do shoot the baby boys at birth, but the girls have a good quality organic diet, etc., etc." And people usually connect themselves. They go, kind of. You're talking about cows, aren't you?
Yeah.
They do shoot the baby boys at birth, don't they?
Yeah.
But they've said it for themselves rather than being shouted out and told.
Oh, that's
what you have
awesome.
to do.
You're doing great work. I like
Thank
hearing
you.
that. I wasn't prepared for that. Have you lost some friends in the process?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably more my doing than their doing in terms of finding it difficult to be around people that know what happens and still consume it. I found that hard to sort of separate their behaviour from that. Yeah, so that's the case for me.
How about you?
Yeah, I think for me it's more of I see it as a challenge. So I haven't necessarily completely lost friends or cut out friends. I see it more of try and be a best example of what a vegan is, that you can still be a normal person, do normal things and just take the cruelty out of it. So trying to just encourage them, show that I'm fit and healthy and eat good food and try and be a good example. And slowly around me, family and friends start to change their behaviours a little bit, start to eat more vegan food. And so it's just that process of getting them to plant seeds everywhere and make the connection. So it's a challenge.
Have you had any success stories so far with your friends?
We're more with my family, so
nice.
They've both stopped. My mum and dad stopped eating meat. Just need to work on the dairy and the rest of the ethical side. But they're gone kind of pescatarian now, which is a change considering they were full-on meat eaters. So it's progress.
Very against veganism.
Yeah.
Really, to start with, they didn't understand it, and now they've made all these changes in the right direction. So it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Progress.
Not friends, acquaintances. The odd person has been cut out from my life who was an acquaintance or someone I knew for sure because of how they've reacted to me being vegan. But my friends, the non-vegan lads that I kind of grew up with and stuff, they've all stayed friends with me, and they totally get that there's no excuse not to be vegan as well. And yeah, and then I've just made an insane amount of friends since being vegan. Like I've never known more people since being vegan. So yeah,
I love it. How about you?
Mostly if I do have like a friend breakup, losing friends, it's friends who were vegan and then they turn their backs on the animals. So yeah, that's basically like I'm more apt to be friends with somebody who isn't vegan, has never been vegan, and they have the potential to be. But when somebody turns their back on the animals, I feel like it's the ultimate betrayal. I don't think they could do like anything worse than that. As far as, well, they could do other things that are quite as bad too, but yeah.
I would say more haven't made the friends that I probably would have made because I was vegan. But yeah, I've lost a few from that, but I've gained a few from just being vegan, so it kind of works out.
No, I've got a really, really good friend group. There's a lot of jokes and taunts, but they accept me for who I am. Even when we go out, they're happy to find places where I can eat, and it's just about accepting each other, isn't it? So
I love it. Okay.
Well, like I only have one now. That's you. No, I did lose. I don't know. Did I lose a lot of friends? I think it definitely made me distance myself from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's just part of the process of getting older too. As you get more, at least that's what happened with me. As I got more defined in the different beliefs that I held, and other friends don't necessarily grow with you in the same direction. You know, it's obviously not just veganism;
Yeah.
it's a lot of other topics. If you know, you know. And yeah, so I think veganism naturally pulled me away from friend groups that I had before, but it's also introduced me to a lot of other friends that I've had. And you know what? I once I saw my friend post on Instagram. He reposted that someone shared. One of the worst parts about getting older is like, you know, that you lose all your friends because you start believing in certain things. But then he said, actually, I reject that notion actually, because now I can make more deep and meaningful connections with the people that I have the same values as. And I really with that. Like, I really like the way that he talked about that, because, you know, it took something negative and spin it in a positive light. So that's how I kind of see it too. The friends that I have now, maybe they're fewer, but they're a lot stronger, the connections, you know? So
Have you lost some friends in the process of going vegan?
Yes. Yeah, quite a few. Because now it's been 6 years, so I cannot really keep myself quiet anymore. So I always try to talk about veganism for whatever conversation and with people it is. So yeah, people tend to stay away from me, some people. But at the same time, I'm making more vegan friends. So I lose some, but I gain more.
Thankfully, my friends have been kind of understanding. The people I've lost, I guess, I don't really consider friends from the get go. Yeah.
It's a good attitude. Okay. What advice would you give to somebody who's hesitant on becoming vegan?
I would say do your research.
Do your research.
It's clearly, I teach in schools as well, so I teach sustainability.
I'd say just watch a documentary, and open your eyes to what it is that you're actually supporting. I know a lot of people sort of shy away from that and don't want to know, but I think it's really important to know what it is that you're actually purchasing. You have that power as a consumer to make those decisions, and it's really important that you use that power in a good way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think for someone who's hesitant, I think I said it before, but there's no harm in trying, but there is harm in not trying. So you look at that kind of the challenge 22, just try it for 3 weeks, just try being vegan, and you will notice it in that time. So if you can just try it 3 weeks and just give it a go, that people will see the benefits for themselves from a health perspective, and hopefully on that journey you'll start to understand more of the ethical side. So just, you've got nothing to lose, just give it a go.
JFDI, just do it. The animals don't have time for us to sit around waiting. And by the way, I completely admit that I was guilty of this. When I first saw Gary Yourofsky's speech, I didn't switch on the spot, but I had to say in my head eventually, just do it, because there was no excuse for me not to. You have to be your own coach when you're going vegan, and you have to be your harshest critic, because the society that we live in is only going to pander to the idea of you know, slipping up and eating an animal product, wherever they're just going to pat you on the back and say, don't worry about it. So you have to be the one who says, no, you really messed up today, and you should not have done this, and you should be vegan right away. So be your own harshest critic is my main point from this.
I like it. How about you?
For me, I would say that veganism is easy when you're thinking about the victims instead of yourself. So put the victims front and center and focus on that. And honestly, veganism has never been more easy than it is today. So yeah, just do it. Like George said, just do it.
Shifting habits seems really scary because we're used to stuff and we get comfortable, but it's literally a very easy adjustment. It's just a case of habit shifting, and you've got to consider the reason you're doing it is just so immensely important that it's worth changing that habit. Like people quit smoking for their health. That's a really important thing to, do. Well, it's important to quit eating animals and their secretions and paying for animal testing and stuff like that because of what it costs the animals.
I think you've just got to give it a go. I think we all live in a world where we get really comfortable doing things that we really know we shouldn't, and there's always an excuse. And I think most people, if you just look inside yourself, it's the right thing to do going vegan is. So just take that plunge and give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen?
What advice would you give to somebody who was about to go vegan?
Subscribe to Danish. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I feel like I'd probably tell them to focus on a couple of different meals that they really like. People can get really overwhelmed thinking about I gotta change all these different meals all the time. So I'd be like, man, stick to one breakfast that you really, really enjoy. Stick to one lunch or two or three lunches you really enjoy, and you can mix that in with dinner. And then from there, you can expand your what you're eating. Don't worry about it too much. I don't know. I think that's probably what I would recommend. And then honestly, if I'm really trying to give a good recommendation, also maybe read How Not to Die by Dr. Greger. Having a really good sense of the nutritional aspect of it. I feel like that doesn't get sold enough in the vegan community. People are like, oh, they'll figure it out. But no, I think that it's really important for people to know how to be vegan, how to live well as vegan, because there's so much propaganda nowadays that make you think that you're going to get sick if you're not eating, or if you're not eating meat, you're going to get sick, or you're going to get deficiencies in all these things, or you need these kinds of supplements. And if you read How Not to Die, you just really not sponsored, by the way, Dr. Greger, shout out. Just reading that book helps give you a really strong foundation so that you're not afraid that, I'm getting sick because of the veganism, and I know I'm putting the right things in my body, so that you can do what's best for you and do what's best for the animals, right? If you're getting sick, that's not helpful for you, it's not helpful for the planet. If you have to go back to eating animals, it's not helpful for the animals. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Again, just sticking to a couple of meals that you really know, and then really reading How Not to Die, any of these books, to get a really firm understanding of the nutritional side, because I think once you got that down, it's a lot easier to continue.
I would say if they're hesitant, just start slowly, start changing the easier things. For me, I started with losing leather and buying synthetic or alternative materials, and then I gradually moved on to food. I guess the last step was cheese for me, but if you do it step by step, it's easy. You can do it.
Just try to be more informed as much as possible, because now there are so much resources online. So watch more documentaries on Netflix or read more, and also follow YouTubers and vegan influencers, and you'll get there eventually.
Do you have any resources that you could recommend people watch so that they become vegan?
I think obviously Dominion is the ultimate video. I have a decal on the back of my car that says, "You've been lied to, watch Dominion." And I wish more people had that on the back of their cars. I wish the world was full of decals like that on the back of cars. I have a little card that someone produced called veganlinks.co.uk.
Yeah.
And it has 100 different documentaries on. So it's also plantpower.org.uk you can look up, and it's got videos on the animals, it's got videos on the environment, it's got videos on health, it's got videos for kids, dogs. I'm a big advocate of vegan dog food because 20% of the torture in factory farms is fed to pet dogs, and it has Challenge 22 and different diets on. So that's the starting point for people, is plantpower.org.uk.
First and foremost is to watch a documentary about the ethical side, so something like Land of Hope and Glory, Picner, Dominion, something like that, because that for me was the biggest change, and probably for you as well.
Yeah, and
that's what it's about.
For my family, it was actually the 3-minute movie challenge that we free do.
Oh, okay.
I finally, because it's just 3 minutes, it was quite easy to get them to watch it. So yeah, as soon as they saw that, it was gone from, I'll have the odd bit of dairy, I'll have the odd bit of cheese, to full-on vegan, almost activist now, which is amazing. So just those 3 minutes can make such a difference.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And any resources would you recommend to people?
Carnismdebunked.com.
Love it. How about you?
Yeah, Carnism Debunked is great. I don't know. Yeah, just watch all the documentaries. Watch Earthlings, Dominion. all of those.
Yeah, and they're all on the resources section on carnismdebunk.com as well. So you can literally go on the website, go to resources, and it's got all the documentaries and stuff there. You see all the arguments, all the fallacies and stuff. So yeah, and Chip's YouTube channel as well, Vegan Power Lab.
I would recommend the. I say it all the time, and now it's not coming to my mind. The sorry, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I would recommend that because I think people worry about their health a lot. I would recommend actually seeing something like Dominion, Earthlings, just like looking into scientific research and looking into what actually happens to animals. And I would look into Behind the Mask as well, which is a documentary about like animal testing, vivisection, and that really got me riled up. And yeah, I'd watch something kind of nicer like on Netflix. There's Okja, and that's obviously a fiction, but it's about this modified pig, and it's very much reminiscent of factory farming and like killing animals. So for something a bit lighter hearted, I'd watch that.
So for YouTube, I tend to watch a lot of Mike the Vegan and Simnet Nutrition and Dr. Gregor. And also on Instagram, I follow PETA or plant-based news. So I'm trying to stay up to date with all the information.
For me, the PETA website has a list of brands which can be sorted, filtered according to like which products you're looking for. So like if you're starting with cosmetics or clothing, then that's a good place to start. For alcohol, carnivore food, I think these days it's really easy to find, especially if you're in like Europe or North America.
We live in the world now where there's so many resources out there. It's not just books anymore, is it? Or you know someone who knows someone. You've got so many things online. There's hundreds of Netflix documentaries, things on YouTube. You can literally look anywhere and you can find something. So it's just wanting to start looking, really. But just give it a go.
Okay. And the final question: was it hard to be vegan?
Absolutely not. It's probably the easiest thing I've ever done.
Thank you.
The easiest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah, especially like knowing how easy it was, seeing how you've done it. It's just so easy to replace meals and to just look on the back of a product, see if it's cruelty free or not. And yeah, it's so easy. People come up with a lot of excuses, but if you're rooted in the fundamentals of what a vegan is, it's not hard at all.
Love it.
Was it hard to go vegan? It's the simplest thing that you can do to save your planet. All these people saying we have to stop flying planes and we have to stop doing everything else, change our lifestyle completely. All you have to do is slightly change the ingredients in your diet and be healthier. It's a no-brainer.
But it's not about the health, right? It's about the animals.
It's about the animals. But for people who need to come on board, some people don't care about animals, and we have to accept that. And if they come to it another way, the animals don't care how we get to it, as long as we get to it.
I love it.
So,
Not at all. No, it's the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Not at all. Yeah, no.
There you go.
Not for me. Not for me. I literally went overnight,
Love
got rid of stuff in the cupboards, and that was it. Completely game changed. But it's one of the easiest things I did, to be fair. And when you feel the benefits, it kind of all makes it worth it.
Was it hard to go vegan?
No. I'm a really lazy person as well. I will look for shortcuts. It's not hard to go vegan. I think it's hard socially. But if you're kind of already used to social cost, then it's not really a thing. So I'd say for people who more fit in is probably the way to put it. It might be a bit more difficult socially, but as like practically not difficult at all to go vegan. No,
Definitely not. I think the hardest part about going vegan for me is deciding that you're going to go vegan. Because once you go vegan, you start seeing all the things that were vegan before that you didn't even realize. Like I would go to restaurants and be like, wait, that's vegan, that's vegan, that's vegan. I always say it's like, when you meet someone in college that you didn't know before, and then you're like, how have I never seen you before? And then you see them everywhere. It's like, yeah, you just weren't looking, So that's how I feel it is with being vegan. You start realizing there's so many things that are vegan. Hello, who's not eating hummus? Like, who's not eating bread? Like, and if you're not, you should start. Eat fiber and legumes. But yeah, so yeah, I didn't think it was. I think the only time that it can be more challenging is when you're traveling because you're out of your comfort zone. And I've traveled a bunch, and I found like Happy Cow's really good for that. And you can always find something to eat. But yeah, I encourage people when they do travel to just Google stuff that they can eat, Google restaurants you can eat, because I've always had just an amazing time when I'm traveling anyways. It is a little bit more challenging though, but it's worth it. It's obviously worth it.
Was it hard to go vegan?
Not at all.
Not at
It
all.
was super easy.
Was it hard to go vegan?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
I admit it was, but I think it was because, like I said, the last step was cheese, and there were no cheese alternatives in my country, which was Korea. So like those were the hard steps, but now it's just everywhere. So I don't think people will have as much of a hard time as I do.
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Love it.
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Go vegan. It's easy.
Love it.
Go vegan.
Love it.